Ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. I'm Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we are back at you after a wild Week 9. Some crazy stuff going on, some thrilling games, and some real poor performances to go over for you in this episode. We're going to have a grand old time. Wes, how you doing?
I'm depressed. I watched last night's game, and I had Garrett Wilson, and I needed 10.3 to get the win, and I got 9.5, and
yeah,
I'm just what could have been, I'm still caught up on not having Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets. I don't mean to start out on a solemn note, but for all of us that watched last night's game, man. Chargers weren't even that exciting either, but that
game sucked.
that was so difficult to watch. And on top of that, this was just a weird week of football.
Yeah.
It was very strange. The best did not do that great, and the fantasy outputs from week 9 was pretty low. So I got a couple dubs here and there, and I'm moving on to better playoff seeding in some, but I'm still struggling in others because of this. But who knows what happens in this next week? How are you, Noah?
Also depressed with you, dude. Don't feel like you're too alone there. We're feeling great here after week 9. Last week, Wes, you let us know that it was your worst week of fantasy football you ever had. Yeah. Well, the luck carried over to the other side of Fourth and Troll Fantasy. This week was absolutely terrible for me in fantasy football. Update on my work league. I am no longer undefeated. I actually lost. I lost to a coworker who did not set their lineup. They did not have a tight end or a flex player in their lineup, and I took an L this week. Shout out Josh Downs. Shout out Travis Kelce. Shout out James Cook. It was just bad performances from my guys that I needed to pull through for me. So that was fun. And hey, I'm coming up on I'm coming off of week 6 of being a top 3 scorer in our main league, Wes, and I am at 3-6 now. This is my 6th week being a top 3 scorer in the league. Still scored the most points in the league. Still have had the most points scored against me in the league. I am 3-6 off of my 6th week being top 3 in scoring. It feels great.
Yeah.
Dude, four matchups. Guys won by with 111 points or less. And I'm sitting there at 130, just taking my 6th loss of the year. And it's this is the worst. This is about how it goes. It's about how it goes for me in this league this year. So I'm thrilled to have my bye week next week with Tua gone and Puka gone and AJ Brown gone. And what a week. What a week. What a week of football. Gosh. What a week of fantasy football. Some highs, some lows. We're going to get into all of it. We got hyped up and let down. Fluker for real. Waiver wire and a thrilling Thursday night football preview. Panthers at Bears. It's going to be a grand time. Before we do all that, make sure you are following us on all our social media below, and run it back 5 seconds real quick to catch that from Wes again. That was fun.
Yeah.
Make sure you're following us on all our socials.
That was either a panther or a bear. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All of our socials at Fourth and Troll on Facebook, Fourth and Troll Fantasy. Make sure you're following us there. We're always putting out good content for you. And while you're down there, subscribe, ring that bell. Let us know how your week 9 went. We want to know. We want to empathize with you or root you forward here. It's going to be a great week 10 coming up. As long as you don't have any Eagles, Dolphins, or Chiefs on your team. So as long as you don't have any of them, it'll be a fun time. Let's jump into the news, though. We got some things to talk about. Starting out with those bye weeks. Wes, what's going on next week?
Oh, yeah. This is, in fact, your best players bye week. It's the Chiefs, it's the Dolphins, it's the Eagles, and it's the Rams. They're all on a bye week. I don't think a single team in fantasy football is going to win. I think everyone's going to collectively lose because of this. And for fun, I just want to list off all the players that are not playing this week because it is remarkable how it just randomized up for this week 10. Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, DeAndre Swift, Dallas Goedert, Cooper Kupp, and Puka Nacua will all not play, and they are all league winners right now. So good luck with your 45 points. Oh, baby. Okay, hey, get a cup of coffee. Let's go through the news here, guys. Kyler Murray is officially starting for the Arizona Cardinals. So long as he doesn't have any setbacks in practice this week, if it goes smoothly, he's going to be the QB1 for Arizona for the remainder of the season as they try to figure out what their future looks like. But he is going to be active, and that changes a lot for your Arizona skilled players. Speaking of quarterbacks, you know who's not going to be under center for the rest of the season? That's going to be Daniel Jones. He suffered a torn ACL. He is done for the season. But wait, it's worse. Tyrod Taylor was placed on injured reserve. So Danny DeVito, or whatever his real first name is, Tommy, will be the starter for at least the next 4 weeks, or if they decide to elevate someone from the practice squad, find somebody off the streets. I know Colt McCoy's out there. Who knows what happens? And, oh, but wait, it gets worse because Darren Waller was also placed on injured reserve. Hey, what a time to be a Giants fan. This is swell.
Yeah. What a time to be a Cowboys defense and special teams owner, by the way. Next week's going to be
gosh.
Insane. They put up 40 points against Daniel Jones with Waller. They're going to score 60 fantasy points. It's just, that's how it's going to go.
I have Dak Prescott as my backup for Tua this week. I think I need to get a different quarterback because I don't think
you might need to. Dak Prescott's going to take 8 offensive snaps. Yeah, that's how it's going to go. Yeah.
And they'll be up 45-0. Exactly. He'll still have 8 snaps. Yeah, I got to consider something else here. Okay, speaking of quarterbacks, it appears as if Mike Vrabel will announce if Will Levis will be the starter for the Tennessee Titans today. That appears to be what they said after their Thursday night game. They said they were going to try to decide over the weekend. We didn't hear anything up until right now, so maybe we'll hear if Levis is it or if they go back Tannehill when he's healthy. And speaking of quarterbacks, Arthur Smith said that Taylor Heineke will once again be the starter for this next matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. Oh, there's already a lot of emotions about
Go on,
Arthur
we'll
Smith.
wait.
Anyway, Kevin O'Connell doesn't know yet if Justin Jefferson will be back at practice this week, so they will wait to open up that 21-day window for his return off of the IR designation. He stated that they are practicing, however, as if Josh Dobbs will be the starter. I don't know why they need to determine that.
If Jaron Hall's through concussion protocol, they're going to be like, Jaron, get back in there, man.
Well, that's a quarterback battle here in Minnesota. So,
yeah,
I think that's pretty clear. But there is something also to keep in mind here for the Vikings. T.J. Hawkinson did suffer a type of rib injury during that game. It's possible that he does miss this week. He is optimistic, so is the team, so just keep that in mind. They're going to try to get a clearer picture of his injury the next couple of days. Before Sunday, before the Panthers took on the Colts, former Colts head coach Frank Reich confirmed that Chuba Hubbard will remain as the starter for the Carolina Panthers. They will try to treat it as a committee. That did not appear as a committee, but either way, that is the plan. Chuba Hubbard is the RB1 in Carolina. Quarterbacks, once again, Justin Fields began practicing on Friday before the Sunday matchups. He was limited yesterday, Monday. They plan to make a decision Wednesday, right before their Thursday night game between the Panthers. Did you get all those days down? Backed up a few seconds, see what happens. Basically, they find out Wednesday if Justin Fields is going to start for Thursday. Speaking of Bears, Khalil Herbert was activated off the IR. He just might be on the field this Thursday. Keep that in mind, all you Donta Foreman owners and anyone else that was a truther in Roshan Johnson. Oh, before Monday night's game, Josh Palmer was officially placed on injured reserve. We saw what Quentin Johnston did. Not much, but that's going to be the wide receiver 2 as long as Palmer is out, and we'll see what happens as well for the rest of that season. KJ Osborne, I forgot to mention this with the Vikings, took a really, really scary hit and was knocked out, and it was apparently not too bad so far. No further updates, but as long as he clears concussion protocol, he will be able to return to action on Sunday. Josh Downs of the Colts was questionable with a knee injury leading up to Sunday's game against Carolina, but he was ruled out during the game because of that knee injury. Frank Reich said he aggravated it again in his week 10 status is now in question. A couple more here, and they're all quite depressing except the last one. Cam Akers ruptured his Achilles on Sunday. He is done for the season. This is the second time in his career.
I don't think it's just the season either.
We hope that he does see the field again in his life, but
this is
pretty tough.
Yeah, like you just said, this is the second time, and it's not the same Achilles. It's his other Achilles. Like two.
That's horrible.
Ruptured Achilles, one on each foot. It's just it's disappointing. He is picking up some traction there.
Good guy, good player. Just bad opportunities. Not the right way. The cards fall. Okay, Christian Watson suffered a chest and a back injury while stretching out for a catch. Matt LaFleur said there weren't any concerns after that. He should not miss any time, but he's going to have that questionable tag for those that are still lining up Green Bay Packers wide receivers. Dallas Goedert sustained a fractured forearm against the Cowboys. That was a bloody injury. Yeah. They were literally holding up his arm. He's likely going to be placed on injured reserve. So just keep that in mind. That is also not good because he's been playing very, very well. Dan Campbell. Oh, this is good news. Dan Campbell announced that David Montgomery will be ready to play this week. Hopefully that doesn't change how Jahmyr Gibbs does. Jamar Chase sustained a back injury in the Sunday Night Football matchup against the Buffalo Bills, and it reportedly got worse as the game went on. So his status for Week 10 is going to be in question. Oh, but Noah, yes?
I was just going to ask you, Wes, if you saw his quotes today, or on Monday, I'm sorry, from post-game, from Monday's reports with the media. He was...
Is it that he's always open?
It was that he's always open. But his words, specifically from himself, did not sound very optimistic. Things like, I just have to do what I can do and get healthy for my teammates. I just got to let my teammates go out there and do their thing. So personally, I am preparing as a Jamar Chase owner to not have him available for Week 10, which is pretty disappointing because the Bengals are heating up. So might be a big T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd week. We'll have to see.
Well, the last piece of news, again, another player coming off of injured reserve, Devon Achane, suffered no setbacks. He is in line to play, not this week because Dolphins on a bye week, but Week 11 when they return against the Raiders. And that's it for the news. Now let's jump into a pretty short, hyped-up list and a significantly long let-down list from our Week 9 recap.
Yeah, let's get into hyped up, or just as we like to call it this week, discussing the Texans' offense. What on earth? That might have been the game of the year. It was unbelievable. It was you watch that game, and you, as Baker Mayfield throws that touchdown with 40 seconds left, you know he's like, I'm proving my doubters wrong. I told y'all I'm him.
Yeah.
I'm getting my 4th win of the season, baby. And then CJ Stroud is like, no, I got this. Hold my beer. Like, it's all good. Let me just go out there and just continue to ball out. CJ Stroud. And a reminder, this is 6-point passing touchdown league, but 51.8 fantasy points for CJ Stroud this week. 470 yards. Broke the record for most passing yards by a rookie in a single game. 5 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. What on earth? Remember Tank Dell from earlier in the season? He's back. 29.6 fantasy points. 11 targets, 6 catches, 114 yards, and 2 tutties. Noah Brown, 27.3 fantasy points, 6 for 6 for 153 and a touchdown. It was one of them was the touchdown was a 75-yard play, but it was an incredible catch and run, tightrope down the sideline play by him. Unbelievable. If you didn't see that, you got to go check it out. And Dalton Schultz, 10 catches, 11 targets, 130 yards and a touchdown, and 27 fantasy points for him. Scored 4 touchdowns in his last 5 games. A lot of us were like, hey, he's just a product right now of Tank Dell being out. Well, I don't know if CJ Stroud will continue throwing for 470 and 5, but Dalton Schultz is getting looks. He's involved in the offense, that's for sure. My hope was that his career would not die in Houston, but I was worried that it would, and it seems like he's getting a little bit of a connection there with CJ Stroud, so it's a good thing to see there. This next portion of Hyped Up is, again, brought to you by, NFC East. Sorry, no.
Forgot the division.
North, East? Hello?
East.
Yeah, okay. I just second
East.
The NFC East.
Silly guy. Are you drunk again?
Yeah, sorry guys. Listen, I'm not. For anyone who's listening, or if we have any,
yes, he is.
Any listeners who
no
need
doubt
to run by
I
their parents what they listen to or watch on YouTube. Hello, parents.
You guys watch those drunk fantasy football guys?
We're very family friendly here at For the Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. Check us out. That's what you're doing. Anyways, listen,
check us out. Hey, while you're watching, make sure you watch us.
Make sure you watch. Check us out. NFC East. Hey, Jalen Hurts, unbelievable game again. He just continues to be a top 5 weekly quarterback. He does it over and over again. 29.8 fantasy points. And Dak Prescott has been unbelievable the last few weeks. Again. His connection with CeeDee Lamb is just on fire, and they are figuring out this offense. I think Michael McCarthy was like, remember when I said I wanted to keep running the ball and run it more? And now Tony Pollard isn't doing anything for us. So, Dak, just take over, dude. Do your thing. Let's just figure it out here. 35.3 fantasy points and nearly a win. My goodness. Yeah. Last guy here we got to talk about. Mentioned him in the news. Josh Dobbs, 28.9 fantasy points. The things that we have now heard about this guy's performance on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. Guys, minutes before he went onto the field to take his first snap of the game after Jaron Hall went out, minutes before, he was warming up with the Vikings offensive line. Was a classmate of yours he was taking snaps from in high school, a classmate in high school.
Yeah.
He's taking snaps from Garrett Bradbury, center for the Minnesota Vikings, minutes before, and they were his first snaps he had taken with this offensive line. He was teaching the offensive line his cadence for how he snaps the ball minutes before he goes out there. And there was not a single false start penalty. There's not a single pre-snap penalty for the Vikings in that game. And Josh Dobbs goes out. He hadn't taken a snap with the offense all week. He gets traded on Tuesday. He probably gets to Minnesota Tuesday night. Goes practice for 3 days, just learning the playbook, learning the rotations, learning the motions, and then goes out and leads a comeback victory against the Atlanta Falcons. Apparently, when Josh Dobbs was calling plays in the huddle, and then he calls the plays and the play clock is ticking down pre-snap, Kevin O'Connell was in his ear mapping out the play for him that he just called about where these guys would be at and mapping out how the play would go as the play clock is ticking before he snaps the ball. And he comes out and leads a comeback victory, 20 for 30, 158 yards and 2 touchdowns, 7 rushes for 66 yards and a touchdown. Listen, we said it last week. Josh Dobbs is definitely not a nobody. This Vikings offense might be okay. This Vikings offense, I think, can still make the playoffs with Josh Dobbs under the center.
Yeah.
I'm hyped up about Josh Dobbs, dude. I know I made a joke about a Dalton Kincaid jersey. I might buy a Minnesota Vikings Josh Dobbs jersey, dude. I'm so hyped up about this guy.
Here's the full circle thing. Remember when he posted a video on his social media with the Arizona Cardinals and whatever that machine was where you could pick out the Cardinals jerseys, and he's like, you don't even have my jersey on here. I'm not even an option for the Cardinals. I bet the next time Skol is welcoming the Vikings back to their stadium, you're going to see some Josh Dobbs jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
This is a remarkable story.
Unbelievable. Last thing on Josh Dobbs. I don't know if, Wes, you saw the Vikings social media that they posted. You know, sometimes as they're running off the field, they'll give a player a phone and do a selfie video, a little victory video to record and send out to Skull Nation. This guy gets the phone. They give it to him. And he goes, "What's up, Skull Nation? Just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Josh Dobbs." I'm like, what a baller line to say. Like, you just came out and did that. And he's like, "Hey, let me introduce myself to you. I'm Josh Dobbs. I'm your quarterback. And I got you guys. Let's do this." Josh Dobbs, unbelievable, hyped up. I don't know if I've ever been this hyped up in our hyped up segment. My goodness, what a freaking awesome weekend to watch some guys come back. Now some letdowns, because that happens. Tua Tagovailoa, 14.4 fantasy points. Game script just wasn't clicking early on. Ended up doing a little bit too late. So not too much there from Tua this week. Tyreek Hill, same deal, 12.5 fantasy points. A fumble on a wild play in Germany. I mean, I look back at it, and us as Dolphins fans, it's disappointing to get a loss, but I look back at it and I go, what do you even do? Like, you get, like, it's not even like it was like an error. Like, it wasn't anything. It was like, I don't know how you prevent that play. It was just pretty unbelievable. I don't know how you do anything there. But hey, on the other side of the ball, Travis Kelce, second week in a row. He might have lost some people their weeks. 4.4 fantasy points. I think it's his lowest amount of targets since like 2018 in a single game. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I will say the Dolphins defense was strong. Best they've ever looked all year. Held Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense to two touchdowns all game. Held them scoreless in the second half. Some big third down stops, and Vic Fangio seemed to have a plan, and I don't think it's a coincidence that this was the healthiest they've been all year. So the Dolphins defense might be a little bit scary for some of these offenses coming up here. Isaiah Pacheco as well, disappointing for sure. 16 carries for 66 yards, no catches. One of the first games in a while we've seen him not involved in the receiving game. Again, this Chiefs offense was just pretty shut down, it felt like. Alvin Kamara came back to earth, unfortunately. His PPR upside still gave him a decent game, but did not give him the game that everybody wanted. Seemed to be the Taysom Hill show, that's for sure. 11 fantasy points for Alvin Kamara, disappointing there. Jamar Chase, we talked about him with his injury. Hopefully he can get healthy and get better soon, because it definitely was something that probably limited his fantasy production as well. He still got 8 targets, but just 4 catches for 41 yards, just 8.1 fantasy points. Not a great night for him. And then Justin Herbert on Monday Night Football. I know the Jets defense is good, but it just seemed like it was not the passing game for the Chargers in this one. It's a special teams game, a bit of the running game, and if I'm remembering correctly, Wes, there weren't many drives for them where they were like, yeah, we got to drive 80 yards to get down the field and score. It was kind of like it was short fields for them a lot of the night. A lot of the running game was working for them.
A lot of punts.
A lot of punts. Big special teams touchdown for the Chargers as well. Darius Davis, I picked him up in a dynasty league. I'm pretty excited about that guy. He looks pretty electric.
You're such a nerd.
I know, dude. That's it for hyped up and let down. Let's jump into Fluker for real, though, Wes. We got a lot of people to go over here. Let's jump through it. It's going to be a fun time here. Starting out with the Texans, CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, Noah Brown, and Dalton Schultz. All these guys. Fluker for real.
They're all for real. I'm going to push back on Noah Brown, though, because I don't know exactly if that's just because CJ Stroud balled out incredibly. Right. Nico Collins had a pretty good game as well. He didn't get as hyped up, but Nico looked great. So for the time being, they're all for real, but I'll say fluke on Noah Brown.
Yeah, I need to see a little bit more there. I have seen him more involved, but need to see a little bit more explosiveness and big plays from him for me to be able to roll him out there. Josh Dobbs, just mentioned it, 28.9 fantasy points. A little bit high. This may be more of a ceiling play, but is he going to be okay in Minnesota?
I think he's going to be just fine. And the biggest part for me of why it'll be great, because sooner or later he's going to get Justin Jefferson back. But take a look at this. 7 rushes, 66 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. That's fantasy value right there. So even though he's got some top talented playmakers around him, that's for real.
Yeah, definitely for real there. Rachaad White, a guy we talked about, said, hey, maybe it's time to trade for Rachaad White. 3rd game in a row now. He is doing some great things just off of really, it feels like volume, honestly. 28 fantasy points, 20 carries, 70 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. and then 4 catches on 4 targets. He still has such a high catch rate. He has only dropped 1 target this year. I mean, I think this is for real, Wes.
No doubt. I mean, even if you take away the touchdowns, it's still you're not losing because of Rachaad White. So,
right.
I mean, you're going to get 8.6 just off of PPR. I really like that. So this is absolutely for real.
Absolutely. Cole Kmet. Pretty big day for tight ends on Sunday. Some guys we're going to talk about here. 23.5 fantasy points. Yet another game in the Chicago Bears offense where he's doing really well. I personally think this is for real. What do you think, Wes?
I think so. And even when Justin Fields is back, this is for real because it seems that Kmet carried some people in that tight end position with Bagent, and Justin Fields has a connection with him as well. So this is for real even when it transitions back into Justin Fields.
Definitely. Yeah. Lots of for reals so far. I think we might be getting our first fluke here, though. Kate Otten, 23 fantasy points, 6 catches, 70 yards, and 2 touchdowns on 9 targets. What do you think, Wes?
I like that he got a lot of red zone targets.
Me too.
I do like that, but it's hard to say this is for real when there's Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Rachaad White. I would put as a higher priority in the looks in the passing reads for Baker Mayfield. So I'm going to say fluke.
I am as well. I definitely think I am as well. Ramondre Stevenson, Wes, your stud for week 9, and boy, was he ever. 22.9 fantasy points, 9 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown, and a big touchdown run. 4 catches on 42 yards on 6 targets there. Fluke for real.
Here's why you can have confidence this is for real, because you may look at that 9 carries and you might say that doesn't seem sustainable. It's not, but Ramondre Stevenson is incredibly sustainable in the PPR volume. He had over 100 targets last season. This is his bread and butter. The 6 targets that turned into 42 receiving yards. That is the same thing as Rachaad White. Why this is for real and why. Oh, man, their schedule coming up is so delicious, plump and juicy for Ramondre Stevenson, my guy. Absolutely for real.
Absolutely. A big reason why he was my trade for target was back in week 5, week 6. The schedule was not pretty for him at the beginning of the year. He's coming out of that and into a great schedule, and we've seen him have some great weeks. I believe he is the RB5 over the last month. That is some exciting stuff to see and some good things to see there as well. Jake Ferguson, baby, 7 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. Puts together a great day, 23.1 fantasy points. What do you think on Jake Ferguson, Wes?
Fire him up, dude. For real. I like this a lot. And that's something that we noticed last week was like 3 catches, 3 targets, not great. But that touchdown catch from the week before was solid. We both felt good about it. And I mean, 10 targets when you're going up against the Eagles and you need the best playmakers on your team to get you in the end zone. Yeah. That's for real.
This is for real. And he is emerging as Dak Prescott's second the second target on this offense. It is not Brandon Cooks. It's not Michael Gallup. It's not Tony Pollard. It is Jake Ferguson. And this is something that at the beginning of the year, first couple weeks, something we said was Dak Prescott likes the tight end spot. He prefers to throw to that. We saw it with Dalton Schultz. And now we're seeing it here with Jake Ferguson as well. Exciting things to come for Jake Ferguson. I'm excited about it. Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith. 21 fantasy points, 5 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown on 6 targets. And a carry. Man, that was interesting. What do we think, Wes? Looking for real on Jonnu Smith.
He carried the football?
Oh, yeah.
Are they short on running backs or something?
Apparently so.
Do they not have any? I thought they had a couple of good running backs back there.
Yeah, I thought they drafted one pretty early on, and I thought they drafted another tight end pretty early on a couple of years ago too. We'll talk about that in just a sec. Don't worry about it. It's just
okay. You know what I will say? I will say this is for real because it goes against everything we know. About talent. No disrespect to Jonnu Smith. Well, Next. Next. Let's just.
Yeah, we'll get there in just a sec.
We'll get to the meat of this.
Okay. Hey, Keaton Mitchell, rookie running back for the Baltimore Ravens. And boy, he was ready to show up for the team. 20.4 fantasy points, 9 rushes for 138 yards and a touchdown. Also had 1 catch on 1 target for a few negative yards. But listen, this guy had been talked about a lot coming into the season. A guy that people thought, hey, this is sneaky little guy. He's starting on IR, but when he comes back, he might be something. What do you think on Keaton Mitchell, Wes?
18% snap count is why I'm not going to run out the gate to add him as a waiver wire.
Yeah.
I will see if he's available and if I want to drop someone and pick him up maybe as a late sleeper postseason flex option. But for the time being, I'm just going to have to say fluke.
Yeah, I think so as well, but I think there could be things coming just based off of how the game went. We'll have to wait and see. T. Higgins had a big game. 19 fantasy points, 8 catches on 9 targets for 110 yards. Almost had a touchdown in this game. What do you think, Wes?
I think before the Jamar Chase news, I was still going to say this is for real just as much as it is with Jalen Waddle, where it's like you line him up because you know that when he hits pretty good. And this is great. Now, especially without Jamar Chase, if that is to be the case, then yes, you start the wide receiver 1 to a Joe Burrow offense, no doubt about it.
100%. This is for real. Aaron Jones came back onto the scene there, had a lot of opportunities on Sunday against the Rams, 17.9 fantasy points. Wes, fluke or for real?
I'm going to say this is for real.
I think he's back.
These are some great stats. And we found out going into the week that Matt LaFleur announced that Aaron Jones was finally 100% from his hamstring injury he had in week 1, when he also had a really good fantasy stat line. So it's similar in the way that Robert Saleh said that Breece Hall was on a snap count and now he wasn't, and then he was going to cut him loose. LaFleur cut Aaron Jones loose, and 20 carries with 6 targets. Yeah. That is cookies. That is
cookies. That is cookies if I've ever seen cookies. Joe Mixon, 17.8 fantasy points. Atrociously inefficient, but gets in the end zone and is involved in the passing game. Wes, what do we think?
I don't want to be a Joe Mixon hater. I don't want to be that guy, but like I don't buy it. I think he's good enough to be a starting running back for a team that has one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and that's fine. But I mean, trade him, sell high. Find someone that has some running back that's hurt or something. I don't know.
Potentially, I think this is fluky, but I can't really turn away from 20 opportunities too quickly, especially in an offense that might be losing their top playmaker. So maybe hold on to him for this week and see if he has another big game if Jamar Chase is out, and then sell even higher. But I mean,
that's fair.
I'm a Joe Mixon hater.
Wait for Chase's.
It's true. I think he is a very overrated fantasy football running back. I think last year his 55-point game carried him to his top 10 running back finish. So I don't know. It maybe see what happens this week, but I'm not holding my breath for Joe Mixon. Alexander Mattison, 17.3 fantasy points, 2 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown through the air. What do we think, Wes? I mean, with no Cam Akers, I think it's hard to bench Alexander Mattison now.
I agree. I think it's hard to bench him. I think when you look at the quarterback situation as well, and you think about the way James Conner was performing with Josh Dobbs and how there was seemed to be the only Arizona Cardinal to start. I'm still going to push back, actually. I'm still going to push back and say this is fluky because I cannot imagine there's a better opportunity to sell Alexander Mattison than right now when we are maybe a week away from Justin Jefferson returning. And I mean, people are very thin. You may also be very thin on Alexander or on running backs, and you may want to keep Madison. But if there was ever a time to trade Madison to get a missing piece, because I'm sure by this point you haven't been starting Madison like myself, I think now is the best time to do so. So that is why I'm actually going to say this is a fluke.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Jahan Dotson, third week in a row, he's been pretty involved in this offense. I think this is something we've complained about this year of what is the target distribution of this Washington Commanders team? Why do they not give the ball to their top playmakers? What's going on? 3 weeks in a row now they have. I think I'm coming around on Jahan Dotson. Where are you at, Wes?
I'm coming around him too. I mean, you do it 3 times in a row on a team that felt very confusing with this is the third straight week with 8 targets.
Yeah.
I have to say for real. There's no other way around it.
I believe so as well. Yeah, definitely. Dalton Kincaid is we said it. It's Dalton Kincaid's season, and it proved it again. A third straight week of being a top 10 tight end. 16.1 fantasy points, 10 catches for 81 yards. Did have the fumble, which is why he didn't get bumped up to 18 points. The big one here for me, Wes, 11 targets. 11 targets for Dalton Kincaid. You know how many Gabe Davis had? 2. And he had 0 fantasy points. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about him so he doesn't go off next week. But Dalton Kincaid is involved in the offense, especially for these next 2 weeks, for sure, without Dawson Knox. And I don't know. I read something this week after the game about tight end matchups and which are the most positive ones to play fantasy tight ends in, and it's the New York Jets, surprisingly, with even though their defense is very good.
That's right.
And the Denver Broncos, surprisingly, even though Travis Kelce had a pretty bad game against them 2 weeks ago. And in the next 2 weeks, Dalton Kincaid plays the New York Jets and the Denver Broncos. So it's going to be fantastic. I'm very excited to keep rolling out Dalton Kincaid. It's going to be fun. Odell Beckham Jr. Hey, he had a game. There you go. 14.6 fantasy points. If you throw him in there on a desperation play, good job. 5 catches, 7 targets, or 56 yards and a touchdown. I mean, this is a fluke to me. But Wes, what do you think?
I think that's what happens when you win 36-3. You let your second string players get a shot.
Yeah, I was going to say the touchdown from Tyler Huntley. It was the funniest part of all of that, is that it was like Lamar didn't throw a touchdown. It took Tyler Huntley coming into the game to get a passing touchdown there. Yeah, this is a fluke, in my opinion. Luke Musgrave, 3 catches, 4 targets for 51 yards, but he gets a touchdown. 14.1 fantasy points. What do you think, Wes?
I'm going to be straight up honest. When I was looking at the draft class and I was looking at the tight ends, I think Luke Musgrave is pretty trash. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't think he's a very good tight end. I think I think the Packers did a pretty bad job drafting him. So I'm going to be against Luke Musgrave as long as Fourth and Troll exists. No disrespect. Right. I just think he's not. I don't think he's good. So there it is.
That's gonna go on the merch. Is just you. It's gonna be like an animated drawing of you holding up a picture of Luke Musgrave. And there's a big red X through it. That's gonna be
That's gonna
be the merch. There you go.
Please.
Devontae Smith, same exact stat line, 14.1 fantasy points, 3 catches on 3 targets, 51 yards and a touchdown. This is something to discuss, though, real quick, just because we saw it last year. Dallas Goedert goes out. Devontae Smith comes onto the scene hot. I'm ready to say this is for real, and this will be for real for the next month. They've got a bye week. And then they'll have 3 games. I'm not sure how. I'm not fully sure how. I'm not fully sure how IR works. But we'll get at least 3, if not 4, games of an Eagles offense without Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith. I'm saying for real. I'm ready to. If I have him in leagues, I'm firing him up.
I hate this stat line. 3 targets. Oh my gosh. And just I was a great touchdown. That was a nice looking touchdown. I mean, toe tap and ballet, whatever you want to call it. I hate this stat. And I'm obligated to keep oh my gosh. The amount of players that I was going to package Devonta Smith with to trade for. Oh man! And then this Dallas Goedert news comes out. And it's like, frick, heck. Oh, dirty underwear. I have to keep him. I have to call this for real. I'm so bothered. The emotions are all over. I was such a high Devonta Smith fan. Like, I was over the moon about him going into the season. And then, like, I hate him. I hate this man. Yeah. I can't stand him. And now I am stuck with him because he's about to ball out.
Yeah, I think he has to stay in the lineup. Yeah.
Pretty pissed.
Their first game back is against Kansas City. And I know Kansas City will be concerned heavily with shutting down A.J. Brown. So maybe some opportunities there. That's gonna be a crazy game. We're all eyes on Devonta Smith for that game, for sure. Last one here. Jalen Tolbert, fluke. I mean,
who?
Second-year wide receiver for the Cowboys who found his way to be open. 5 targets, but I mean, that's a fluke. Not happening this year for you either. That's it for the good side. Let's jump to the bad side to break down some of these guys we got to talk about here. Starting out with an elite duo in LA for the Rams. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. A combined 5 catches for 80 yards between the two of them. That's fast math, by the way. I did not have that written down. I just did that real quick off the stat line I saw there.
I'm completely attracted to you. I've never been more attracted to any human than right now.
Fast math. Put me on Who Wants to Be Smarter Than a 5th Grader, dude. I'm going to put those elementary school kids in the dirt. Anyways, listen. These performances are not what you wanted here, Wes. I was texting you multiple times this week, sending in the group chats of some of our leagues we're in together. In the Trollers League, actually, I said, listen, I got to come to you guys on this one. What do you guys think? I'm thinking about benching Puka for Rashee Rice. Like, I don't trust this potential injury. Coming out of that game, feel good about the injury. He still was heavily involved, still played a ton, still got 7 targets. But Brett Rippon is terrible. It's so bad. Dude, I saw an Instagram comment where someone called him Brett Rippon Farts.
Sick burn.
And I was like, that's a pretty good one, dude. Brett Rippon Farts did not connect with these guys at all. It was terrible. Ended up being the right play to start Rashee over Puka. I still lost to you in the Trollers League, Wes, and still lost in
Justin
our main
Herbert
league
didn't
as well.
help you.
But yeah, Herbert did not help at all. What the heck? This is flukes for these guys. Once Stafford is back, they'll be right back to normal. I mean, Cooper Kupp may be a conversation though. Well, I guess that is the question, because
when is Stafford back?
Well, they didn't put him on IR, so they don't.
True.
They have the bye week, and then he'll be back. Maybe he's not back for week 11, but if they didn't put him on IR, I have to think he'll be back by week 12. So maybe one more week. And if they come off the bye week and Stafford isn't ready, maybe it's another week where you do have to. If they don't have Stafford, I will be benching Puka again. I don't trust it. It's not something that I'm going to roll them out with Brett Rippon Farts. I'm just going to roll them out with Stafford whenever he's back. But I believe for that time they are. This is for real. They won't be involved. It's not going to be good. But when Stafford is back,
right,
I think we can roll these guys out. Kupp is a little concerning. It's not been great, but he's still Cooper Kupp. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. I think that's important to note, is that if Stafford is not the quarterback, it is totally legitimate to bench Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, because these are must-win weeks now. These are the final few weeks before we get into the fantasy playoffs. So by the time Stafford is back, it may be the first week of fantasy, or first week of playoffs. So if you are just praying that Puka and Kupp end up in the end zone with Brett Rippon, that's probably a good sign that you're not going to get those last few wins you need to make the playoffs. So with Brett Rippon, this is for real.
Yep, definitely. Bijan Robinson, 5.9 fantasy points. Why? What are we? why does Arthur Smith have a job? This was my thought process. And when in the preseason, Wes, you asked, you said, who do you think could be getting fired this year before the season ends? And I said Arthur Smith. I said Arthur Smith because I think they're early enough. These guys on their offense that are weapons are still young. They can bring in a new head coach, have a new regime, and they can still they're not going to be too far down the road where it's like you gotta do a ton of damage control. What? You're in a game where you lose to a 4-day-old quarterback on a comeback victory, and you're featuring Tyler Algier and Jonnu Smith. I understand that Bijan Robinson fumbled the ball. I understand. Guess what? That doesn't matter. He has been outsnapped and has been getting less touches than Tyler Algier for yet another week in a row. Why do you draft the guy? Why do you draft the guy that early for him to be a backup running back to Tyler Algier? And I'm a Tyler Algier truther. I love Tyler Algier. He shouldn't be starting and getting more reps than Bijan Robinson. Jonnu Smith should not be starting and getting more reps and more targets than Kyle Pitts. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Arthur Smith should not have a job. He should be fired. We're getting reports on Monday about Arthur Smith says Drake London will be back. Arthur Smith says this. Why is Arthur Smith saying anything? Why? Why is he reporting to media? Why is he not in Arthur Blank's office right now getting fired and getting a spanking on the way out for his poor performance? What are we doing here? What is going on? I know Falcons fans can't be happy. It's not even just fantasy managers. Your fan base is pissed off at you, dude. What are you doing? It is such poor usage of such elite talent. What is going on? I don't understand.
It's it just reminds me of Kyle Pitts, who was drafted as the earliest tight end taken in NFL history, and there is another generational talent that is being jeopardized because they are under Arthur Smith. And for whatever reason, Jonnu Smith is the best fantasy option from the Atlanta Falcons right now. I mean, legitimately, from this week, the week 9 results, I'm elated by this trade I made. I traded away Bijan Robinson and Brandon Ayuk. And I got Ramondre Stevenson and Devontae Adams. And after week 1, I would have been called stupid.
Yeah.
But here we are right now. And I feel very good because I just traded away a backup running back.
Yeah.
I traded away a backup running back to get a starting running back and a starting wide receiver. I literally traded away backups.
Because
that is how Bijan. Right. Going into this, feel amazing. And I went into this. I went into the season, like a lot of other people, considering Bijan to be one of the best players that we will see, a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. We had no idea CJ Stroud was going to be this great, but it wouldn't. I mean, I thought he was going to be LaDainian Tomlinson. He still can. I mean, everything can still turn around the next few weeks, but there's no sign that it will.
What are we doing here? What?
This is it. This is his season. This is for real. I mean, this is it. I mean, I would rather. I don't know if I can make the decision because of the name value, but it feels like a better option to start Tyler Algier. It feels like we've got.
We've got
a lot of players we should be starting instead of Bijan, but we can't not because we took him in the first round because we know he's this good because he's a rookie. Rookie running backs do so great.
You got into the 5-yard line. You got inside the 5. Your play progression went false start, screen pass to Jonnu Smith, end around reverse to Jonnu Smith, and then rush by Tyler Algier. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Bijan Robinson is running for 5 yards a carry. What? Oh my gosh. It is incompetent. How does he have a job? How does he have a job? I don't understand how Arthur Smith was not fired Monday morning first thing. If he keeps his job through the offseason, listen, we might have a report by Friday's episode, but if he keeps his job if he is the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, the start of the 2024 season, they need to be investigated for like him being in the witness protection program and like him just needing to like keep having a job. Like he's got to have a job. Like I don't know what's going on. I don't understand. We can move on. I'm so frustrated, and I freaking hate Arthur Smith, dude. This guy sucks.
He's ruining not just fantasy players, but like the potential and future of these very, 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 very talented players. It's we're watching players' careers wash down the drain. First, he loses to Will Levis in his first career start, and then he loses to a quarterback who was on the team for 4 days. And
how does he have a job? I don't get it. I don't understand. This is disappointing, and I'm mad about it. Let's move on here. All right, James Cook, 7.9 fantasy points. Another down week. He started strong, 2 down games, 2 good games. Now 2 down games. 6 carries for 20 yards. Semi-efficient. Just 4 catches, 4 targets for 19. It's just it feels like it was something that was said early on with us. Wes was in games where they're kind of just winning pretty well, heavily, just easily. It seems like he's going to be more involved. In games where they're not, he doesn't seem to have much of an opportunity. It comes back to the reputation of this offense. It comes back to Josh Allen needing to be Josh Allen. And unfortunately, it comes back to things that we were worried about this offseason, which was in the preseason, that was, the Bills running back room. Bills' top running backs have not tended to be top guys. They haven't tended to be the top 15 back that you want it to be in a great offense. Usually you want the top running back for a great offense. That's not the case here. It feels like you got to keep rolling him out because he's showed you the ceiling weeks, and he's incredibly efficient running the football. 4 targets was great. I was excited with 4 targets, but it's disappointing. And I think you got to keep rolling him out. I know I have to. I'm in situations where I do have to, and I don't really have better options, especially with the landscape of the running back position right now in fantasy football. But
right,
it's a bummer. It's a big time bum rush, dude. It's a big time bum rush.
And that's the worst part. You hit the nail on the head that we don't really have better options. He is not winning us, and I attribute him to part of the reason I lost by 0.8 points. From this week. If he just done a little bit more, literally a little bit more, I would have won. And here's the schedule for the Bills season for the rest of the year, just so we have an idea of what some of these 2 good, 2 bad, 2 good, 2 bad weeks look like. They've got the Denver Broncos next. Then they have the New York Jets. Then they have the Philadelphia Eagles. Then they have a bye week. And then it's Kansas City, and then it's Dallas. So that's going to be really tough.
That's not great.
And the last 2 weeks of the fantasy season are the Chargers and the Patriots. So
you got to do a lot to like get there, but I
cannot wait for week 11 when I have Achan back, because I will be starting him over James Cook.
Yeah, that's where we're at. It's disappointing. And we wanted more from James Cook. Hopefully, he'll get more involved. Hopefully, the emergence of Leonard Fournette on the team doesn't hurt him too much. We'll see. Tony Pollard, 9.3 fantasy points, continues to be a disappointment. Almost scores a touchdown, gets called back on a questionable penalty, but I think same situation here. You got to keep starting Tony Pollard. He's the top running back in a talented offense, but not what you want. I don't know. It's for real, I think, but you got to keep starting him.
Same exact scenario.
Yeah.
Same scenario.
Yep. Lamar Jackson, 11.48 fantasy points. In games where this should have been a game where it was competitive, but they just trounced the Seahawks, and they just ran the ball. That was it. They just ran the ball. They didn't have to throw
with anybody they could find
at all. Yeah, you got a carry for him this week. I'm pretty sure.
I did. I got a touchdown. I got called back.
Oh,
pretty pissed.
Freaking zebras.
But this is fluke. I mean, the Ravens are probably the best team in the NFL. I'll support that.
Yeah, they look really good. They could be primed for a run there. Todd Monken, baby. Todd Monken.
Todd Monken.
Here's somebody I'm going to be annoyed with Todd Monken on behalf of. Zay Flowers, 2.1 fantasy points. 1 target in this game. I mean, I think we were excited about Zay Flowers being an every week start, and I don't think he is anymore. I don't think Zay Flowers is a must start every week. I think depending on where your roster situation is, you may be in a situation where you have to. I know I'm in leagues where I have to. Like, he is a guy, he's very talented, but 1 target. Like, what? Again, I know they're just running the ball a lot, but I saw a stat today that said Zay Flowers, since week 2, has had 1 game over 10 fantasy points. Like, what? That's a bummer. That's another big time bum rush, dude. It's not fun. And so he's very talented. I'm going to continue to start him and probably keep losing, but that's somebody that we just got to, I don't know. He's not a must start anymore in my eyes. So
that's fair.
Disappointing stuff. A couple running backs that were disappointing as well as Kenneth Walker III and Zach Moss. Kenneth Walker III, again, the Seahawks were just getting beat up. So I think this is a little fluky. I think there'll be better days, but Zach Charbonnet does seem to be getting more involved. What do you think, Wes?
I think this is a fluke. I mean, he's been incredible all year, and when you get down early and you get beat up and you get punched in the jaw like that, there's no point in running anymore. You just gotta.
I agree.
Hope Geno can find the end zone.
Yeah, Zach Moss, 2.6 fantasy points. This is for real, right?
Oh yeah. Zach Moss had a 21% snap count.
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor had 74%. It's exactly the way we thought it should be. Yeah, I'm happy as a Jonathan Taylor owner.
Definitely. Adam Thielen, 9.7 fantasy points, 5 catches for 29 yards on 6 targets. I think this is fluky as well. I don't think it's like a sign of things to come. I think it's they were getting beat really badly, and Bryce Young looked really bad. Bryce Young looked really bad. I think I'm ready to call Bryce Young a bust. Like it.
Well, that's early.
I know it's early, but he looks really, really bad. Like the second pick 6 of the game, it was like a screen pass, and he
gosh, what a
airmailed
sentence
it
to just
over
say.
The second pick 6 of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a screen pass. And he just he put it like 5 feet over Miles Sanders' head on a screen. There were just some bad throw. I don't know. The Panthers messed up. CJ Stroud easily should have gone number 1 overall. But I think I'm willing to say like Bryce Young shouldn't have gone before Anthony Richardson. Like it is so disappointing. I mean, I don't know many Panthers fans, but I can't imagine they're thrilled. I don't think it's like a coaching thing. I don't think it's I mean, I know they're not the Dolphins, but they have talented players on the team.
No, I'll tell you, Panthers fans are still upset they passed on Justin Fields. So on Thursday, this is going to be the most heartbreaking experience for Panthers fans ever.
Yeah.
I mean, Here they are. They watch C.J. Stroud just lights it up with 5 touchdowns, 470 yards. That's a record for best rookie performance by a quarterback ever. And he is playing nearly flawlessly. He has like 1 interception the whole year.
Yeah.
And going into, I mean, we have other things to talk about too, but like we'll just finish this thought because going into the draft, it was Bryce Young. And then that pro day happened, right? And C.J. Stroud looked electric.
Yeah.
He looked mechanically sharp. It was unbelievably impressive. And Bryce Young passed. He skipped his pro day. And that was when everyone thought, oh, maybe Stroud goes first because he's going to be really good. And then, of course, just the potential of Anthony Richardson. And I'll say right now, up to this point, including these 2 games that we've watched. Right now, C.J. Stroud is the best quarterback. Next would be Anthony Richardson. Yeah. And then it would be Will Levis. Because from these 2 games, I feel like Will Levis has played better than Bryce Young. Am I wrong?
No, I'm just... I didn't even think he was going to come up in conversation here. But yeah, I think... Yeah, Will Levis should have been drafted ahead of Bryce Young. That is insane.
The way this season has gone. And anything could turn around because Dolphins fans will tell you, you got to give your quarterback time to mature because Tua was on the border of being a bust and everyone was looking at the quarterback taken right after. And Justin Herbert had everything going his way.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert doesn't win a lot of games and C.J. Stroud hasn't won a lot of games, but next year, man, I'm telling you, this Thursday night is actually going to be worth watching just for the drama because they passed on Justin Fields, right? The Panthers passed on Justin Fields, and then they take Bryce Young by trading DJ Moore to the Bears. And so now the Bears are going to come in with DJ Moore and hopefully Justin Fields and look Bryce Young in the eye and say, you're the one that, all right.
I forgot.
I'm just saying.
It didn't even click with me. This is going to be a DJ Moore revenge game. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be insane.
Let's close out this segment. But I mean, I'm telling you, there's something. Panthers fans, literally, you know the Wolverine meme where he's in his bed and he's got the picture and he's like stroking it. Oh, they're looking at 2015. They're looking at Cam Newton and then MVP season, and they're 15-1 regular season. And anyway, let's finish out this show, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Listen, DK Metcalf disappointing 6 points, and his quarterback Geno Smith 2.68 fantasy points. One of the worst performances I've ever seen from him.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if last year was a flash in the pan, or if it was actually he was. Maybe you should write back. Maybe you should say I suck. Like I don't know. Like maybe that should be what it is, Gino. But DK's been really disappointing this year. I had him as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver coming into the year.
Yeah,
he's been so disappointing. His day was saved by a 50-yard catch. That's it. This is for real for DK. This is probably for real for Gino. And last guy here, Devontae Adams, 7.4 fantasy points. Listen, the Raiders, I don't even know what to say about the Raiders right now. They won the Super Bowl on Sunday. I'll say that's what I'll say. They won the Super Bowl on Sunday. They were smoking cigars, looking to just clinch the division. Like they're just so hyped up, and I don't know. Josh McDaniels sucks, dude. He was just so wound up. I guess I don't know.
Go buy Devontae Adams stocks. That's my take.
7 targets is good for Aiden O'Connell. It's exciting to see, and good to see 5 targets for Jacoby Myers as well. Worried about the target share initially. I don't think Jacoby can get back to where he was at, but this is good stuff to see there for sure. Listen, we're going to do a quick waiver wire and Thursday night preview and then close out the show for you. Waiver wire this week. Wes and I are in agreement that if Tank Dell is available, which he's only available in about 40% of leagues, so he's not going to be either of our waiver ads. But go check the waiver wire, because if he's available, he is worth dumping fab for. He is worth using your top priority for. He is definitely involved in the Texans offense. That being said, though, that'd be kind of a cop-out if we just gave you Tank Dell. So we're going to give you another guy each to go ahead and add here. I'm going to go first. And we talked about him and hyped up and we talked about him in Fluker for real. And this is a speculative ad for me, but I'm going to say go add Keaton Mitchell. I know that Gus Edwards has been very interesting. He's scored like 6 touchdowns over the last 3 weeks. He's been awesome. But 9 for 138 and a touchdown, I think is something John Harbaugh is going to look at and go, yeah, we drafted this guy and he looked really good. And the Seahawks just added Leonard Williams to bolster their defensive line. And he looked really good. Maybe we need to do something here. Dude, his touchdown run, I was like, I didn't notice he was in the game. And so I was like, when did Gus Edwards get blazing speed? Like, when did that happen? That was ridiculous. And I look and I see 34 and I go, who is that? And I go, oh, it's Keaton Mitchell. I think that's probably a similar situation to a lot of the offensive staff for the Ravens. And they went, oh, when did Gus get fast? Oh, no, that is Mitchell. Okay, we need to probably feature him a little more. It's a speculative ad. You can't roll him out. You can't start him yet. But I will say if Keaton Mitchell's available, I think he's worth spending a little bit of fab on. Not a ton, but he's worth spending a little fab on to get, just because this running back landscape is so poor, it's worth spending a little bit of fab to see if they're going to feature him a little bit more. Hold on to him for a couple weeks. If it doesn't look like it's going to be anything, you can drop him. But I think he's worth adding if Tank Dell isn't there, and you think he's worth making potentially top waiver ad. So not super involved yet, but he could be. So that's where I'm at with this waiver ad.
Speculative ad is the correct phrase for it, because if he does play like this, because I mean, in the way that you're hyping him up and the way that we kind of saw, it's I almost said reminiscent of Devon Achane.
Dude, I was just going to say that. Dude, oh my gosh. That
right?
was exactly what I was thinking. 9 touches, but like it's a small sample size, but it's like, can he break one like this every game? Like Achane? Like, is that what this is going to be? Yeah. That's why I'm saying, like, okay, just in case. I think that's why he's worth grabbing. Short and
so
sweet.
Funny. It's so funny to talk about Achane as if he's this bona fide star. Like, he's played he's
4 games,
played like 4 games, and we're treating him as if like he could still be rookie of the year. Like if he comes back in week 11 and plays as he is, everyone's like, well, CJ, I mean, your 5 touchdowns, 470 yards, baller, but like, Achane is the rookie of the year, running back of the year.
Purdy was a rookie of the year candidate last year. Like, Achane, if he comes back and he plays like he had been, he's 100% a rookie of the year candidate.
Could still lead the league in rushing yards. He's still averaging 12 yards a carry. But anyway, with that kind of air about Achane, there's something with Keaton Mitchell, and I believe that. I would not start him and do not want to start him, and I do not think that he is. I mean, it would depend on my team in my waiver wire priority. If I wanted to actually use a waiver to get him, I may just pick him up. But I know as the transactions process, but it's possible. He's probably owned in 0% of leagues, so very easy.
I think he's worth the ad for sure. Wes, hit us with a waiver ad outside of Tank Dell that you think we should be adding.
Yeah, there's a lot of tight ends that I like. And you look through, and a lot of people have these tight ends. And so with Dallas Goedert going down, Ferguson, if he was available, would be a good ad as well. K. Dotton is interesting. We didn't really see him as we called him a fluke. Didn't really buy into that. Jonnu Smith is interesting. Apparently he's the best player on the Falcons. Yep. But I'm not even going to mention a tight end. I'm not even going to mention a tight end because I looked through the entire list of everyone trending, and I was like, I'm gonna pull a 4th and troll, double down on myself, and I'm going back-to-back weeks on Demario Douglas.
Yeah.
And I'm going to point out just how good he did, because 10.5 points in full PPR is solid. That's going to get the job done. But I just want to show what he did in this week. 83% snap count. That is the most of all wide receivers on that team. That is actually tied for all Patriots offensive players outside of Mac Jones. and he led the team in targets. He led the team in receiving yards. He's still rostered in less than half of the leagues. Yeah. And with the way he's playing, the way that he is being featured, he could be a fantasy playoff winner. There is a chance that when he gets in the end zone that first time, that train keeps rolling and people are going to wonder, who is this guy? And I think that this may be the one last chance to get him before he just pops off. Yeah. So Demario Douglas is again my waiver wire ad.
I love it. Yeah, double down on it for sure. He's a guy I went and added where I could, because you had him everywhere else, Wes, but he is a guy I'm excited about. And somebody definitely worth flex plays, worth consideration there for maybe wide receiver 2 spot, especially with these bye weeks coming up. A lot of good guys there. So I love it. Pop Douglas, about to pop off. Boom. Love it. Roasted. Got him. There you go. Listen, quick Thursday night football preview, because I know we're all looking forward to this game. It's going to be the lowest viewership that we've ever seen on a Thursday night game. Must starts, Risky starts in. Don't starts, Wes. Who is a must start for you?
I think you still have to roll out Adam Thielen. I do not think there is any concern from what happened. He is clearly the best option. If you've got Thielen, you've got him as your best flex player on your team, no doubt about it. Roll him out. Don't be worried about what happened. If this happens again for another week, then we can start to question if he's going to be a conditional matchup player. But he has been by far one of the best best draft picks in fantasy this season. He's playing great, and I think it'll be just fine. So you can keep rolling out Adam Thielen.
Yeah, I agree fully and completely. Thielen is definitely worth having out there. Have confidence. Don't buy on a down week. Just don't be worried about it, especially with the skill player bye weeks we've got here. Just to add on to that, I know it's not going to be a fun game to watch, but definitely worth still having in your lineup, Adam Thielen. I'm going to say you must start Cole Kmet. He's part of the game plan in a huge way in this offense. And Wes, I actually have written down, and it's something you said in our Fluker for Real segment, I have written down, either way with Bagent or Fields. He is somebody that is going to be involved. He is a feature player. Matt Eberflus has found his role for him on this offense. And dude, his first touchdown catch over Tyrann Mathieu was sick. That was an insane catch. I was like, no shot a tight end just made that grab, and he did, and it was awesome. And he's got a pretty cool celebration, too, the freaking baseball home run hit. I don't know if you saw 2 weeks ago, they had two or 3 weeks ago, I'm not sure when it was, but one of like the Bears like hype crew people that are on the field, they actually like pitched him the ball as he did that celebration as well. It's freaking sweet. So I don't know. Go look it up if you haven't seen it there. But he's a must start in my eyes. I think he's definitely just heavily involved. He's got a game plan for him in this game for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people have a tight end in addition to those that already have Travis Kelce and Dallas Goedert. And I and people may not have another tight end if they have Cole Kmet with the way he's been playing, but this should at least be the kind of encouragement to say there aren't better options right now. I mean, the better options are the obvious ones, but like Cole Kmet is playing the way that he was at the end of last season when Justin Fields was on that run, literally and figuratively, when it was like, oh crap. I was looking back at some of the episodes, just kind of going through analytics and stuff, and there was an episode we talked about. It was titled, "How Early Are We Drafting Justin Fields Next Season?" And it's pretty early, but that was at that time. And so either way, if it's Bagent or Fields, you can roll Kmet out with confidence. Yeah. And that transitions me into my risky start because it actually is conditional based on the quarterback. If it is Tyson Bagent, I think it is a risk to start DJ Moore. I love the narrative. I love what's going on in this matchup against Carolina. This was intentional. Primetime DJ Moore against the Panthers. They traded him away to get Bryce Young, and they skipped Justin Fields in the draft a few years ago and did not get a quarterback. They kept Sam Darnold, and the Bears have 2 potential former Panthers that they're linked with this. But DJ Moore has just not been good. He has not been good with Tyson Bagent, and that is a risk. I love the narrative, but if it is Justin Fields, you lock him in. You bench every player. You can start just DJ Moore, and you'll win your league.
Yeah, 80-point week.
But he's my risk. Yeah, he's my risk for those reasons.
I think he is risky. I do believe if I'm making a call here, I believe Justin Fields plays. I think he's going to be out there, but if he is not, it is a risk for sure. And so I'm with you.
We don't know
risky.
As of right now. We don't know if it's Fields as the recording this episode, but if it is Fields, then absolutely. I mean, I would even venture to say you could trade for DJ Moore before this matchup because if it's Fields, you're going to get that 40-point week the last time they were here on Thursday night.
Yeah.
I mean, I am stoked if it's Fields and Moore.
Yeah.
But otherwise, gosh, he's just not been good with Bagent.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I've got another Bears skill player here who's a little risky. It's risky to start Khalil Herbert on Thursday night. Now, he's just been activated off of IR. And if we've seen anything from this Bears backfield, it's that they don't have a true starter. I mean, I know Deontay Foreman had the one game, but then when Roschon came back and Terrence Evans has been getting work and Travis Homer's getting a few touches a game. And it's just a little confusing. But Khalil Herbert, I want to remind everybody, is still the most talented running back in that running back room. He's a very good player. He's very talented, and he deserves to be the top running back in that running back room. It's a risk because I don't know what the workload is going to be in his first game back. That's where the risk comes in because the Panthers' run defense is terrible. They're real bad. Jonathan Taylor's had a field day against them. They have continuously put up great performances for running backs against them. They're real bad. They're giving up the most rushing touchdowns to running backs this season. I just don't know what the workload's going to be in his first game back. So it's a little risky, but I understand if in this bye week, if you've been holding on to him, if he's been in your IR spot, you need him in your lineup. I understand if you need to put him back in there. Just temper expectations because we don't know if he's going to come back out and get 15 to 20 opportunities or if he's going to come back and get like 8 opportunities and just split this backfield like 5 different ways. So risky start is Khalil Herbert.
I almost considered him. I did consider him. I almost put him down as my risky start for those very same reasons.
Yeah.
Just how are they going to use him right off the injury and the way they've been rotating that backfield too? It just seems too much of a risk to just launch your week 10 with. Yeah. Hey, my don't start. You're going to love this. I sat and stared at my computer for a very long time to figure out who is my don't start. And I've come to the conclusion it's everyone else. I can't figure out who else you shouldn't start more than like everyone else. So if you have a specific player, do that. But like the closest I got was like, I mean, I guess you could roll out Chuba Hubbard, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just got Montez Sweat. So like, I don't really know. So I don't think there's anybody else you should start, but at least you can hammer in to not start this next player for certain.
Yeah. And you make a very good point, Wes. Not everybody, there's not a lot of great names in this Thursday night matchup. My don't start is Miles Sanders. I've come a long way here. It's been disappointing. It's I had really high hopes for him, and it's just been a real big bummer. He saw an uptick in production. It's easy to do that when you score 0 points, but he saw an uptick in production. So that happened.
Right.
He scored like 6 fantasy points this week, which is promising. I mean, I didn't start him in any lineups. I was not buying in, obviously, after a 0-point week. And when I looked at my bench, I was like, oh, 5.9. That's okay, like that's better than I think I thought he was going to be doing there. But yeah, Hubbard leads the backfield. I do think at some point it will start to really get closer to like a 60-40 split with Hubbard and Sanders. But man, this has not been the season we want for Miles Sanders. So in addition to don't start everyone else, I'm going to hammer home, don't start Miles Sanders. Anything?
It's a 63-25 split between Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders right now. So he's got a little gap to close.
A little uptick in production from 2 weeks ago. Maybe we'll see a little. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It's Miles Sanders is not going to be fantasy relevant again this year, barring a Chuba Hubbard injury. So,
yeah. This is the perspective of us that thought Sanders could be something. You particularly were. You thought really there was a chance with a reunion between him and Frank Reich in that Super Bowl run in 2017. You thought, oh, this guy could be a top 10 running back, and turns out the Panthers are just really bad at football.
Panthers suck. Yeah, there you go. Hey, listen, that's gonna do it for this episode today. Thanks for hanging out with us. We always love spending time with you guys. What do you think about Arthur Smith and Bijan Robinson? Let us know in the comments, and let us know if you're willing to roll out Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua with Brett Rippon. We'll see what happens there. Hopefully Matthew Stafford can be back soon enough. Also, let us know who's going to be your top waiver out of the week. Just make sure you don't share this video with any of your league mates until Wednesday when waivers clear, because you don't want them to see those either. Let us know in the comments while you're down there. Like, subscribe, ring that bell. Follow us on all our socials at 4th and Troll and on Facebook at 4th and Troll Fantasy. We will be back with you on Friday for a Thursday Night Football recap and our Week 10 studs and duds. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy. 4th and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media and Selby Artistic Workshop.